Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and once again, I am joined by Angel.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. Today, we are continuing our Port Charles Fate journey. We are covering weeks 11 and 12. So we're coming to the tail end of the arc. So let's get right into it. So Jamal overhears Allison and Frank talking about money. And she says she needs to get her hands on some cold, hard cash. He thinks about running into his old associate and the shady job offer that he got last time we saw him. Jack is looking for Livy and fills Jamal in on what happened with Lucy. Which was fun.
Yes.
We pick up where Chris finds Livy naked in his bed.
I admit I was wrong.
And Chris is suspicious of Livy's seduction because she has pulled this on him in the past.
Yep.
She tells him he was right to warn her about people like Jack and Lucy and not to trust them. And she drops the sheets, exposing her naked body to him to show that she's serious this time.
Classic. Well, it wouldn't be classic seduction move, but it wouldn't be like villain. It's usually with villainesses, but usually, it's a classic move on soaps. You know, drop the sheet, I'm serious, or drop the robe, I'm serious.
Not to jump too many arcs ahead, but it almost feels like how Livy would act in like the Tainted Love and her arcs with Caleb.
Yep.
It doesn't feel like her character is at this point yet, but
it's getting there.
It's getting there. Ariana tries to tell Ben it's too soon for her to try and have a baby because of her miscarriage. And he dismisses her and warns her that she better become pregnant if she knows what's good for her. He talks down to her, very misogynistic.
Yeah.
I think I literally said out loud, "Can you just die now? Like, I'm over you."
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want him to die.
He's not happy with Eve because she got him put in jail. So he's like very vengeful towards her.
Yeah, it's a lot like his character on Passions.
Oh, really?
Like, his character was literally a pimp. So really? Pimps were very misogynistic historically. So on soap. So Billy Clyde Tuggle was misogynistic. So he plays. It seems like that they cast him because of this role, because kind of typecast him a little bit, which I feel bad about. But I did like him on Passions because he did a better job on there than he did on Port Charles. So okay. Yeah. Plus, he was on a little longer. He was on longer on Passions.
I'm assuming Passions was after this, right?
Yes, Passions was after this. Not directly. I think maybe a few years have passed. I want to say 2004 or 5 he was on Passions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Eve tells Ian she remembers everything from their time captive together and that she loves him. Ariana comes to see Ian and warns him that Ben might come after Eve. Jack comes to Chris's apartment looking for Livy, and she walks out in one of Chris's shirts and implies that they were intimate together. And she forces him to leave.
Implies, not they weren't actually intimate.
Yeah, I feel like they would have showed that if they actually were.
Yeah, they would have showed that, yeah.
Eve receives an unlabeled package, and Ian stops her from opening it, thinking that it could be something harmful that Ben sent her. It ends up being a gift for a patient.
I actually thought it was something that Ben. They believed us enough that it could have been something that Ben would have sent.
They definitely zig where I think they're gonna zag sometimes.
They do.
Jamal asks Frank what he and Allison were discussing about money, and Frank tells him that he should talk to her. He doesn't want to get in the middle of their relationship issues or whatever. He tries snooping through her notes, but she catches him. And he meets up with the guy that offered him the shady job, which at this time I didn't remember his name, but later Travis was his name.
Yeah.
And he tells him that he's now interested because it's $2,000 for 10 minutes of work.
Which I wish that was a thing. $2,000 for 10 minutes. Sign me up.
Right.
Yes.
I can work once a week.
I can work once a week. Yes.
I'm available.
That's the groceries.
I'm available from 10 a.m. to 10 a.m. Ian fills even on Ariana's situation and how the marriage is to protect her. He assures her that despite the situation, he loves her and he wants her to be okay with it, even though how things may look. Because it's a matter of life and death. He asks her to understand and he takes Ariana home. So now Eve and Karen are discussing the situation, and Ian and Joe are discussing the situation, kind of like mirroring
each other. Yeah.
Ian and Joe are at the bar. They're setting up for Valentine's Day. There's going to be like a Valentine's Day dance.
Yay.
Lucy calls Kevin over to her place because Livy didn't come home and she's worried about her. They have their normal banter. Oh, I first mentioned this last time, I think, and I had made a note, but for some reason I missed it. I like when Lucy and Kevin like fight and it like escalates.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Ta!" Ta! It's like that's the cat on the and then he does it. Livy is at Chris's looking at herself in the mirror and starts cutting her hair.
Which I think she only cut maybe like an inch off.
Yeah, but it looked good.
Didn't really look
volume.
Yeah, more volume. It looked really nice. I was wondering like, okay, exactly how much did she cut off? Because it wasn't like,
right.
It wasn't noticeable. But she definitely styled it. Yeah.
She gave herself a side part. But this is the hair I remember. I remember having
yes.
Not to like comment on looks, but it was a little flat, and now it has more volume. And this is like the Sam McCall,
Sam McCall, like if you've seen the opening credits to Port Charles later on, that's the hair that she has.
Yeah,
like the one with more volume and everything like that.
Yeah. She shows up at Lucy's with Chris with a new look, and they had gone shopping. She grabs some of her things and makes it known that she's moving on with Chris, and inadvertently lets Kevin and Lucy know that Jack is Chris's brother.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny. They were like, brother.
Brother. Which, like I said, I love how they with the four teen characters, because they're definitely over 18 now.
Mm-hmm.
That all of them have ties to Port Charles in some way.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
Everyone is attending the Valentine's Day party at the recovery room, which actually also ends up doubling as a not a bridal shower, a celebration of Ian and Ariana's marriage.
Yeah, and I like that it aired on February 14th.
Right.
I mean, some of it aired on the 13th, but like most of the action aired on the 14th.
I guess I don't know. It took me by surprise because I guess I wasn't thinking about what time of year it was. And I'm like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. Because I just felt like we were in Christmas. So I don't know.
Yeah, we were just in Christmas.
But we've been flying through it. So I'm like, oh, we're in February now. Okay. Lucy calls Jack to tell him she has a job for him. Kevin comes home to find Eve there and tells her about Livy and Chris. They decide to go to the party, and Eve says she knows all the right buttons to push with Chris.
Because they're friends.
I like how, from what I've gotten out of this, I feel like Livy and Eve don't have the best relationship, but they don't not like each other. And I like how Eve is kind of like she's a kid, like we have to protect her. Plus, she loves Kevin, so she's gonna protect his daughter. Outside the bar, Ariana runs into Gabby and asks her how long it is to wait before trying to have another baby. And Gabby thinks that this is just her way of trying to cope with the loss of her baby by thinking if she gets pregnant, like she'll get over. Once the party has started, Ian notices the immigration agents enter the bar, and he makes a toast to the whole bar in honor of his new wife. Now, most of the town has gathered at the recovery room.
Yes. I'm trying to even think who was missing. I don't think anybody was missing. I mean, if you look at the credits, Audrey's obviously missing, but
yeah. Karen was at the hospital, I think.
Right, she was. Yeah.
Victor is surprised to see Livy there with Chris and her new look. I always forget that he's her grandfather, technically.
Yeah.
Lucy is there with Jack and is determined to repair things between him and Livy. Eve slams Chris for dating someone fresh out of high school.
But yeah, the optics of that.
Yeah. He's been pursuing her for a while now.
Yeah, since pre-arc.
Yeah. Frank calls Karen and asks her to meet him at his place. Jack tells Jamal that if his new job is going to hurt Allison or them in any way, don't do it because it's not worth losing someone you care about over a stupid decision. Jamal tells Allison he has to start his new job that night. Frank has a friend with a mechanic job opportunity for Jamal, and Allison wants him to take this interview.
Yay.
And at this point, I'm like, is this leading where I think it's leading? He tells Allison he can't meet the friend right now because he's already late for his new job. And she gets annoyed and she's like, whatever, it's your life. It's only your life or whatever. And for me, I'm like, why are you getting so angry? He's not like brushing it off. He has to go start his job. Like he can't be late on his first day.
Especially for 10 minutes for two. I mean, she doesn't know that that's with
Travis.
Well, Travis, who is Cedric's people. From what they said later. But $10, 10 minutes for $2,000. Look, hey, I wouldn't be a second late.
Right. Might lose 1,000.
Yeah, right.
So now after Ian gave Eve this whole speech about, you have to be okay with this. It's just pretend, whatever. He seems to be the one that's struggling with it because he's watching Eve from across the room and he can't handle it. He can't handle the fact that he's hurting her.
Oh.
Karen goes to Frank's she asked him, he asked her to. And she jokes that the computer has gotten bigger and uglier since the last time she saw it. Frank has named it, but I didn't remember the name to write it down.
Yeah, me neither. Let's just call it Bessie.
Lucy enlists Victor to get Livy outside for the fireworks, and she goes and she runs into Jack. Outside, Ian and Eve can't control themselves, and they're freaking mauling each other like animals and just making out. I'm like, really? There's ISI. There's immigration agents inside the bar.
They're right there, yeah.
You can't just be adults and make it through the night.
Or if you're gonna maul each other, at least don't do it outside of the bar.
Right. Where there's fireworks going off, so obviously people are going to come outside.
Uh-huh.
Ariana is looking for Ian inside, and Ben walks in. She tells him they're celebrating their marriage and says this should prove that she and Ian are really in love. He's not buying it. He wants this baby. They go looking for Ian, who is still outside making out with Eve. Livy is enjoying the fireworks show, and Jack says he missed it because he was too busy staring at her.
Oh.
Lucy thinks Kevin and Eve have reconciled, and he shouts in the middle of the bar that his marriage is over, which kind of like brings
It just stops.
And everybody's
everything.
like, that's such a TV trope.
Yes, it is.
And then the music just like starts again and the party.
It just starts again. It's like now I just noticed something. This is like a technical thing that I noticed with the music. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's the February 13th, 14th, and 15th episodes of the party, technically.
Yeah.
So on the 14th, it's just music, like I'm trying to think of like stock music. Like stock music. When it gets to the 15th, and I'm thinking that whoever taped this, which thank you, because or else we wouldn't have this podcast, taped it from ABC. So I started hearing music that I listened to when I was a kid.
Yes, I heard Mandy Moore.
Mandy Moore, Pink.
Pink?
It was Pink because it was Most Girls.
Oh, I didn't hear. Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah. And then it was what is that song? I Need to Know. I Need to
Oh,
know.
the Mark Anthony song. Yes.
Yeah, Mark Anthony, yeah.
I heard that too.
I was like, oh my gosh, they're playing Mandy Moore. And that was like the second time on a soap that I heard a Mandy Moore song. Because on Guiding Light, they played Everything My Heart Desires when Susan was upstairs in her room, like just being a teenager and like being angry. And she just blasted music really loud. And Harley was like, can she just like turn this down? I forgot what she was angry about, but she was just blasting music. And one of them was a Mandy Moore song. And I was like, I love Mandy Moore.
I'm not sure. I might be remembering this incorrectly, but I think Candy may have played in the very beginning of Passions when they had the carnival storyline.
I think it did.
Yeah, very quickly. Only for like one scene. They couldn't afford to play a whole song.
No, well, this is back when, like, in the early 2000s, like, they could afford to do this. Like, they could afford to play music. But then I thought it was interesting that I guess with the stock music, I'm thinking that they might have recorded it off of SoapNet because, and that goes with what you said a lot earlier, that they had stock music that they could play the real music and then they switch it out by the time it gets to SoapNet.
Yeah. Not to go too far on this tangent, but I remember like the last blast dances.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing Bye 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 at the first one. And then I remember Sean and Belle dancing like to Christina Milian, AM to PM.
Yes.
Where it was like the dance competition. So I think like, a bunch of the kids like danced to it.
Where she had like the pants and the halter top. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
It's back then I didn't like. I was like, why couldn't she wear a dress? Why did she have to wear that? But now I kind of like it. Like
I like it too because it's different. And then I think Belle and Marlena, I don't know why I called her Marlena were shopping and a Christina Aguilera song played. I think it was Come On Over.
Yes, I remember that too.
I think it wasn't Come On Over Baby. It was just Come On Over, right? It was like the original version. It was the original, the one on the album. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember that. It just brings you back. But it's funny thinking that they paid for this for something that was only intended to air once.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you know they had money.
They had a lot of money.
But back to Port Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I? So Chris walks outside and finds Livy with Jack. And Livy tells Jack she's moved on with Chris. Frank gets a call that there was a warehouse break-in across town and gunshots were fired. So now we're thinking, okay, is this
true?
So I didn't realize it because I knew it looked familiar, but I wasn't sure if this is where they were going with it. I put Chris takes Livy to a new apartment. I didn't realize it was her old apartment.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He, like, got her a new apartment. And he surprises her with her grandmother, and they're gonna live together there.
Oh.
I was like, oh, we do see her grandmother again.
Yeah.
I thought she was gone with like Rachel.
Sheila. I mean, same difference.
There's a nurse or aide. I didn't know what she was there.
Oh, we'll just call her a home health care aide.
Yeah. That Chris is paying to spy on Livy and report back to him her every move, everything she talks about. He wants to know everything she's doing.
And then this is when I decided I didn't like Chris.
This
Again.
is I was just like, yeah, Chris, never change.
Never change, Chris. You do something sweet, and then it has a flip of like creepiness, and you gotta watch somebody. You gotta keep an eye on them and everything like that.
Yeah, he's very paranoid. Thinks everybody's out to get him.
I would have loved for the show to go more into that with Chris, because I know Nolan North could pull it off. Like, could pull off like anything they put their mind to. Because he's like a famous voice actor now, so it's not like,
yeah, you said that.
Yeah. So, but like, I would have loved for the show to like go deep into like why Chris left Jack. Why can't he trust anybody? Why is he the way he is? Like,
yeah.
And they kind of dropped the ball on that. I think maybe they don't, and I'm just not remembering it, but.
They kind of make you think they're gonna by having Jack talk about his childhood and stuff. Mm-hmm. Who knows if they follow through with it?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch Poor Charles till the end, so I don't really know if that relationship develops at all anymore.
I don't think it does.
Ariana and Ben are still looking for Ian at the party. Ariana sees them outside and starts talking loud to kind of warn them, like, hey, like, you're about to get caught. And they quickly like, hey, what are you guys doing out here? Ben questions how much Ian could care for Ariana if he's outside with someone else. And Ian is at this point getting fed up with Ben and his threats. And
I think we all are.
But at this point, Ian doesn't know about the threat that he wants Ariana to have his baby. Ariana asks for a moment alone with her brother, and he once again threatens her to get pregnant. And Jamal has decided not to take the $2,000 for a 10-minute job. And he decides to meet up with Frank's friend for the mechanic job instead. It turns out Allison has worked it out for him to run his own bike shop.
The bike shop! Yay!
We talked about it for so long, and it's here.
It's finally here.
Lucy is in the bathroom talking to herself, bashing Eve. And she says she wants to punch her. Eve emerges from the stall and tells Lucy to take her best shot.
She said, hit me with your best shot.
Kevin pins Ian against the wall outside of the bar because he's kind of fed up with the situation with Eve, or how he perceives it. Jamal is reluctant to accept the bike shop opportunity because he thinks Allison took money from her grandmother. She says she didn't, and that the place burned down and the owner wants to reopen, and she sold him on the idea that Jamal could run it.
Mm-hmm.
So he wouldn't have to answer to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
She said he just has to pass the interview, obviously, with her. She makes him take his shirt off, and he says, isn't this sexual harassment? And she says, how bad do you want the job? And I'm like, I don't know if this is today.
I like them, but the optics of it.
So we're kind of making sexual harassment cute, and I don't think that's a good thing.
I don't like it. I kind of don't like it. It's comfortable.
Sometimes it's rough to watch things with like current year eyes.
Yeah.
Because it was like so good back then, and now you're like, ooh, was it?
So yeah, what's this with all the Me Too and everything going on? Maybe don't.
Yeah. So Lucy and Eve end up trading insults in the bathroom, and Eve pushes Lucy as she goes to storm out, and Lucy hits her head on the wall.
Ooh.
Lucy, the two end up commiserating on the bathroom floor on how they got to the current situations in their lives.
Which I really like that.
That was a fun scene because, you know, Lucy was being Lucy. And Eve said something like, what did she say? Something along the lines of, you're always like condescending, or you always, something along those lines. And she says, and you don't even realize when you're doing it. And Lucy was just like, doing what? Like to kind of like double down on like she doesn't realize when she's doing it. Ariana confides in Gabby that her brother is forcing her to have a baby with Ian in order to accept the marriage, and Gabby urges her to tell Ian. I don't necessarily like Ariana, but I kind of like this dynamic. I like that she has somebody that she can confide in that's giving her good advice.
And I like Gabriella, so it kind of helps. It kind of helps me deal with Ariana in a way. So with the way Gabby is so supportive and everything like that.
Yeah.
Especially since like Joe or Joseph, as Ian would call him, and Ian are friends. So
there was an episode, I think last time we covered it, where he actually called him Joe, and I was like,
yes. Yeah, so wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I was like, why'd you say it like that? Kevin thinks Ian has made a mess of Eve's life and thinks he should stay away from her and maybe leave town and let her move on. Ian ends up grabbing a bottle from the bar and goes for a walk. And I'm like, do they not have open bottle laws in Port Charles, New York? Because you could just walk
look at the soap opera. Don't think about it.
Yeah, gotta leave real world laws out of this. I put Ian is drunk outside the kitchen entrance to his apartment.
He is. I think I saw the actual kitchen in there. Like, I was like, oh, here is the kitchen.
And Ariana comes outside. He says he can't feel the cold and puts his jacket around her. She starts to tell him about the threats from Ben about about getting pregnant. And he kisses her before she could fully say what's going on. Lucy is at the hospital getting her head injury checked and talking with the doctor about her dizziness and nausea that kind of predates the injury.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor thinks that there's a possibility that she could be pregnant. She's been sleeping with Doc a lot.
Yeah, she's sleeping with Doc all throughout this arc. I think it was like 3 or 4 times, maybe. All of that was on the train.
But yeah, and then the time when Eve was coming home and she had in the car. Lucy checks the date of her last period, and it's been 2 months. So she thinks she's most likely pregnant. She runs into Kevin, and he kind of inadvertently finds out that she's having tests done because the doctor's like, "Oh, we have to have that test." And he's like, "What test?"
Which HIPAA laws, but against soap opera.
Ian and Ariana are making out, and Ian stops it. She says she just wants to make him feel good and will do whatever it takes. And now I'm starting to feel like she's more invested emotionally in this.
Yeah, because remember she said, I've never been kissed by somebody who loves me. I have to put it like that because yes, she has been kissed by Ian earlier that night. So she has been kissed by somebody who loves him. And then when they make out, she says, how does she say it? I can't believe this is happening or something like that, which I was like, that's weird. Like
she also at some point had mentioned, like, it's probably during the scene because they're talking about kissing, that people in her country don't kiss until they get married.
Oh, right. That reminds me of that reality show where like the couple didn't kiss until they got down to the altar, and it was so awkward.
Oh my god.
Like they were mauling each other, and then it showed them mauling each other. I think it was on TLC. I want to say, I mean, most reality shows are on TLC. But I'll have to look it up and send it to you. It's just the most awkward thing ever.
I bet. Ooh.
Ugh.
Probably lots of tongue.
Yeah.
She finally lets him know about Ben's threats about having a baby with Ian. Ian is furious and he storms off. Frank asks Karen out, and Rana comes to see Karen and doesn't think it's a good idea for two ex-addicts to be dating. I didn't know Frank was an addict.
Yeah, I did. I forgot that he was an addict. And then she mentioned that he was abusive too.
Yeah, I didn't catch that, but
yeah, I'm wondering if this was all during the Courtney stuff.
And did Karen have a relapse on the show?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's what. No, I don't think it did. Somebody correct us or correct me. But I think that's what led to the recast. Because she went away and then she came back, and then they had the role of Karen is now being played by Marie Wilson. So, or maybe it was like a time, like I know some time had passed and then they recast Karen. But I think also she probably could have had a break and she went to rehab and came back.
It's funny, the whole time that Marie Wilson was on As the World Turns, I was just like, oh, it's Karen from Port Charles. That's just because that's the first role I saw her in.
Mm-hmm. I was like that too, like when she was on As the World Turns.
Really?
And I didn't even watch the first Meg, so.
Oh, I didn't know there was another Meg.
There was a Meg before her in the 80s. So.
I did know that. I did read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't watch. Like I watched maybe clips and partial episodes of it, but no, I did. No, actually, I did watch her. I did watch the previous Meg. And she was a schemer. She was a real schemer.
Really? So after some pushback from Karen with her mother, she tells Frank that she can't make it on their date, that she might have to work. She's on call or whatever. And he understands because he's in the same line of work and he could be.
Yeah, he's a paramedic.
Yeah. Allison and Jamal are painting the bike shop. Things are coming along really fast. I feel like we were like, where's the bike shop? Where's the bike shop? And they're like ready to open.
It's about to open. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited because then that's the thread that leads to Tainted Love.
I know, I can't wait. They get in a paint fight. Also, I felt like they weren't painting correctly. I'm like, why don't they have rollers? If they're gonna paint,
yeah, they need rollers.
That's gonna take forever. And I was, maybe it's because we just painted recently. I'm like, paint's so expensive. Stop playing with that.
Yeah.
Gabby calls and tells Allison that a guy involved in the warehouse robbery shooting was asking for Jamal. And Allison is now suspicious that Jamal knows something about what happened there. She thinks that he was involved in it, actually, and he tells her, he confesses about the job, the $2,000 for 10 minutes, but he calms her down by telling her that he didn't do it.
No. I mean, okay, yes, I'm saying all because $2,000 for 10 minutes down the train.
So I don't know.
Yes, he was good for not doing the job.
I don't know if I like wasn't paying attention or I missed something, but Eve was like now on a plane leaving town.
Yeah, so I remember her saying goodbye, Ian.
Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure because they ended up filling us in on where she was going with flashbacks of them talking about this island.
Was it the 13 Kids Island?
Oh, was it?
I'm not sure because I don't even remember the flashbacks.
Yeah, when they were showing the flashbacks, I'm like, did this happen? Or
this happened?
I'm like, I don't remember this.
Barbara James, please.
I'm like,
Give us this fake
are these like newly created flashbacks from when they were
I
captured?
think they might have been.
Because I don't remember this conversation at all.
I don't remember it either. I think it might have been just planted in, and saying like, "Oh yeah, we figured out we figured out where to pivot the storyline, but we need to make this make sense." Come on, Barbara James and Barbara too, because there's three of them, three head writers.
It happened while we were watching Lucy and Kevin. That conversation.
Yeah, it was when they were on the train.
Where am I? Oh, so she remembers Ian saying that they had been together in another life and are together now. And if they go to this island together, they'll be together for eternity. This felt like where they were starting to put little sprinkles of supernatural stuff into it.
Yeah.
I was like,
that in the computer too.
Yeah. Ben comes back to his hotel room, and Ian is there waiting for him and pulls a gun on him. I was like, yes, kill him.
Kill him, kill him, kill him, kill him.
He's left, somebody's got to die. Ariana goes to the hospital looking for Ian, and she runs into Gabby and updates her on that she told Ian everything. Again, I think I missed something. Joe ends up storming into the room. Now, did Ian set this up? Because
obviously he did. Because
But like, how did Joe find out? Are we supposed to assume that Gabby told Joe? Did we see that happen? Because I don't remember that.
I don't think we see any of this happen. I think this is just the way of shoehorning. I wonder if they had an original ending and then they decided that they decided to go with another ending. Because remember, we're on week 12.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if like they just decided like, oh, we'll just scrap the original ending, whatever that is, and then we'll just put a new ending. We'll put a new ending there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some of this stuff has like there's holes. There's plot holes in this. So
yeah, I don't hate it because it's not where I thought it was going. But so Joe storms in on Ian holding Ben at gunpoint, and they wrestle. Ben gets the gun, and he accidentally shoots Joe. Well, maybe not an accident, but
and if it wasn't for the fact that I remember Tainted Love, because I know Joe's in Tainted Love for a little bit, I would have been like, oh, whoa, we get three Joes, and one of them is not, and then now he's dead. So
right.
I actually thought he was dead. I was like, wait a minute. No, he's in Tainted Love. He's not dead.
So Ian ends up saying that Joe is dead, and he makes it seem like he has to do a makeshift resuscitator, like shock him back. And he ends up basically tasing Ben. And making him think that he killed Joe and that he'll go to prison for it. And they think that this will get Ben to leave the country, which we find out later that he did, I guess, through Ariana. Again, they zigged when I thought they were zagged. I didn't really expect that. I didn't think Joe was going to die, but I didn't think it was a whole setup.
Yeah.
Frank has brought this computer to Karen's because it's all fixed up. And she's actually using it. And I'm like, okay, come on. This is 2001. Why couldn't you get a Mac or like a PC? Like, why do you need to work on this old computer? It doesn't have Excel. I know it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And like, if they were going to get a Mac, the Macs were cute back then. They had like the colors and everything like that. And like I remember using them in high school. Like,
yeah.
And the PC was Windows XP. Oh, it was such a great time for computers. Not saying it isn't now, because I love Windows 11. So
yeah. So she plays with it for a little bit, and when she turns it off and leaves, it comes back on by itself. And I was like, here we
Ooh,
go.
here we go.
So on the island, Eve hears a boy coughing and crying for help. And she's put in this situation where she helps this little boy who's sick. She puts water over his head. She fans him. She tells the mother to go get fruit molds to make penicillin. And they're so grateful that she helps this boy. But then Eve gets sick. And I was very confused because I'm just like, she came in and this boy had been sick and she saved him. Why is she sick and her life is just ending? Like she's dying. Why can't they put the water on her and do the fruit mold and all that?
They explained that. Well, they explained that like it wouldn't work because she's not used to like the island.
Okay.
They did explain it. They did kind of explain why she was like dying and like they can't really do anything about it. He's just used to getting sick. And then, so that's why he's able to, get better faster. And then I also want to talk about the optics of. I know I use the word optics a lot in this podcast, so
no, it's fine.
Just throw with it. We're just gonna roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
Eve is there's the trope called white savior, and Eve is the white savior, and then there's the magical black person. They use both of them at the same time.
Oh my god, they do! Oh my god, they do.
They use both of them at the same time because then all of a sudden, like the mom is a healer and she's giving Eve this like potion so that way she can dream of her past life with Ian, which that's a good song by Kesha, Past Lives. So.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, she just got here, she just fainted. Like, why is she dying now?
Look, we're in week 12. We gotta get through this. We gotta get to the other arc.
And then I started, because my mind can't just like rest. I started thinking about like with the past lives and like time. Now we're approaching time in the bottle, and I'm assuming time travel. I don't really know if this is gonna play a part in it, and I'm just like.
Mm-hmm.
But also, so they went to go get a doctor or a healer to help her, and it's Ian. Is it really Ian?
See, that's the thing. I don't know.
Or is she?
I don't know if Eve is hallucinating or if Ian is really there.
And I know this is a soap thing that you could just get on a plane and magically be like across the continent or on a different continent in an hour. But
you don't,
on island.
you don't show Eve on. You don't show. I don't think Eve was even. No, they showed Eve on the plane. I think for a little bit. Yeah. But they don't show you on the plane, and you're just there.
Yeah. Rewinding a little bit, Ian ended up getting Ariana a wedding ring. And this is when I kind of started to see the crazy in her eye that she was in love.
Yeah, there we go. It's not going to make me like the character any better. Barbara, and James.
I'm like, as far as I know, you got one more week.
Got one more week, Ariana. Your brother is gone. You need to leave too.
Lucy ends up taking a home pregnancy test, and Kevin she drops it, and Kevin sees the pregnancy test. She takes it. She ends up not being pregnant, and she's very upset about this. Mm-hmm. And she's just kind of done with the situation. She's tired of getting her hopes up. She's tired of her and Kevin saying they're not going to do this again, and then they keep doing it.
Which I wish she would have won an Emmy for this.
Yeah.
That was a really good scene when she was like, I'm just tired. Oh. Mm-hmm. She almost had me crying.
Does she end up having another kid? I know she has Christina and
nope.
Rena. She doesn't end up having another kid.
Nope. No kid. She does not have any natural kids. Not at all. Not even on General Hospital.
Wow.
Yep. And I'm just going to assume, just going to put a little content warning here, that I think she was pregnant, but for whatever reason with the character of Lucy, except for Serena, she has not been able to maintain a pregnancy. She's been getting miscarriages. So I just assume with Lucy, just because it happened before at the beginning of the show, that she can't carry to term.
I hated when they did that with Nicole on D's. I'm like, they really gonna make her have a second miscarriage. But that's a whole situation.
Is she? I know she's pregnant now, right? Is she still pregnant?
Yeah, with her miracle baby, and like, it's fine. I understand, like, not to go on a day's tangent, that Eric and Nicole need to have their miracle baby, and I like that for that couple because I do enjoy that couple. But as much as I hated Daniel, we already did the miracle baby. She has a miracle baby with Holly. Like,
yeah. Wait, didn't Chloe carry the baby?
Yeah, I guess that's the difference. Chloe carried the miracle baby.
Yeah.
And now she's actually pregnant. But I don't know. I just feel like Nicole doesn't need more kids.
No. I mean, at least give her this kid so that way we can have the Eric kid. But
yeah,
I think Holly is a teenager by now, so
they just did it wrong.
They did,
which is what's frustrating sometimes about soap operas.
Yeah, and I want to actually go into the music that was playing during when Lucy was going off on her tangent. Like, I just love early 2000s General Hospital _ background music. I love the music, and I remember that, like, they have some of the same team over there. I actually follow one of the people who does the music on Twitter. He's now on the Young and the Restless. His name is R.C. Cates, I want to say, which I think they might have. I think that's where Karen's. Not Karen. Jagger. Remember Jagger?
Yes.
I think they've named R.C. I think they named R.C. Cates after, yeah, Jagger Cates after R.C. Cates. But I just love the music. Like, it was Marty Davidge and R.C. Cates, and I'm like, this music is just off the chain. Like the soft piano.
Yeah.
Even when we get to like the supernatural stuff, like the music just gets so much better on the show. Like the underscore, it's just so good.
Did they share the same musical cues as GH? Like, if
yes,
you heard a musical cue on
like,
Fort Charles, you're like, oh, this is familiar from GH.
Yeah, this is familiar from especially that do 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 do. That I heard that a lot on GH.
Did you ever watch Ladies of the Lake?
The first season, yeah.
They had a lot of Days music cues because I'm like, I know this too. Like, I've heard this on Days.
Yes, I was waiting for like the lady to sing
because Ken Corday apparently is musical.
He's like, yeah. If he wasn't EP, he would have been like the musical. He would have just been the musical guy.
That's cool. I like that they shared that. Like, ties things together more. Do you have anything else to add about this week?
What was I gonna say?
Or these 2 weeks?
Oh yeah, these 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's coming to the end. I can't wait for the end.
I honestly don't know what to expect.
I don't remember what happens at the end.
We didn't mention Jamal and Allison went to go for a bike ride, and Jack came, and he was gonna keep an eye on the shop while they kind of like get away from the paint fumes. And some of Travis's men come to see Jamal, and they start trashing the place and attack Jack. And I thought I heard one of them call him Jamal, and I'm like, really? You think that's Jamal?
You really think this is Jamal? You've seen Jamal before,
right? So like, that was a little, but
like.
But then I was like, oh no, we're trashing the place already.
Yeah, and then Jack had like a polar or like something, and was going to hit them. And then when you go on the next Port Charles, it turns out it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, way to spoil us. Way to spoil us. Your Great Escape poster previews.
I honestly have no idea what's going to happen. We have 1 week left. I feel like I have a lot to wrap up in a week.
I wonder if some of this is going to trickle into Time in a Bottle.
I really don't know. I don't know if it's
like the way that the trickles, way trickle that time in the battle is trickling into Fate a little bit. I wonder if it's going to be like we're going to wrap up some stuff from the first week of Time in the Battle and then we'll never mention it again.
I will say I did have a little bit of PTSD to the end of Secrets because Eve's on her deathbed. I was like, no, I'm not ready.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's going to be some happy endings or not. Like, obviously, the Ariana story has to be resolved because I don't know.
It has to be.
Unless she's in Time in a Bottle.
She might be in the first month, or at least the first week or two. I remember her in Time in a Bottle.
Okay.
Which that has just come back to me. I'm like, oh great, now we have to deal with her again.
Damn, I thought we had 1 week.
And I don't know if Ben comes back.
Okay.
I think they wrapped that plot nicely, tied it into a bow. I hope Harris comes back.
I was just gonna say, we have 1 week. I don't know if Harris is gonna come back, but who knows?
I hope he comes back and takes Ariana back to the island. I mean, not the island, her country.
Yeah.
Which I always assumed that her country was on an island anyway, so.
I still feel like they should have went with the thread line that Harris was the one that sexually assaulted her.
Yeah.
That would have tied it more together.
Yeah.
All right, well, next time you see us, we'll be wrapping up the first arc of Port Charles' fate. And who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you guys have never seen it, leave your wants or predictions in the comments. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps. And until next time, have a great weekend, night, day, whenever you're watching this.
Bye.